Good evening, everybody. It's us, the Archer Football Podcast, the college edition. Oh, there's Kate.
Sorry.
That's okay, Kate. That was like,
Technical
I know why she's not here.
Bring it. All I want to know is if Ryan Day still has a job.
Daggone it, Kate. I was in Cleveland. I was waiting for you. I'm sorry. I was in Columbus. I was waiting for you.
I had the U-Haul ready to go, and
I know.
People told me to calm down, so I calmed down, but not.
Hi, Kristen. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Archer Football Podcast. It is our playoff edition. So excited to talk to y'all. It's the week after, it's the Wednesday after rivalry week. Say that 10 times fast. We've got Cleveland Kate. Hi. We know how she's doing. We've got Michelle Bell. Oh,
she's feeling the same way as Kate. Not about that game, though, but she's feeling it.
Feeling the same way. I am riding high. Go blue is all I have to say. I won't plant flags. I will not plant flags. But I could if I wanted to.
Not at the shoe.
I mean, come on. Just if you win, I get it. There's a nice way to win. But also, that's just planting the flag. Like, there's always going to be a little.
And that's where I'm at. If the Buckeyes didn't want y'all planting a flag, then they should have won the game.
Just saying. Saying.
We talk about this when the Lions put up 52 points on someone who scores 6. You don't want them to score, stop them.
Yeah.
You don't want to plant a flag, win the game. I understood the free-for-all, but it should have never been an issue.
Right.
Well,
go ahead, Michelle.
Planting a flag in somebody's field is disrespectful, and it's a sign of disrespect. So it's one thing to beat me on my own floor, but you're not going to put no flag on my logo. I'm sorry. Beat me and do whatever you're going to do and then get up out of here. But don't bring that flag and put it on that floor. Every single time if you even approach it with the flag, we're fighting. And that is how I feel about it. So kudos to the Ohio State people. I was happy that they lost, but I was on their side in the middle of the fight. I'm like, this is how you do it. You do not ever let anybody disrespect your home like that. They've already disrespected you with the win. Well, so don't bring those flags. The NCAA needs to crack down on these flags, and these coaches need to stop letting them have flags. If I see a flag on the sideline, I'm breaking it in half on my knee.
Act like you've been there before. This isn't your first win in 30 years. They've won 4 years in a row. It ain't enough for you to win. You got to then be disrespectful. Grow up.
Yes. Yeah. Leave them alone. Okay, now granted, yes, I don't think that it required a melee at the end of the game. I really don't think it did. Flag planting, whatever, but I mean, give them the time to let them do that for a second. Don't showboat, for crying out loud. But again, if you didn't want them to plant the flag, make a field goal. I don't know.
You got a locker room.
Yes, yeah. You got a locker room. They did their thing. Anyways, if you're watching over on Twitter, on Facebook, come on over to the YouTubes. You can interact with us in the chat. We try to get to as many comments as we can. Yes, sometimes y'all talk a little too fast, and it's okay. We enjoy that. We like you guys talking, but we might not be able to get to everybody. Nothing personal. It's just how it is. Talk amongst yourselves. We try and pull up the interesting ones, but sometimes you guys go fast. But it's okay. We still love y'all. Kate knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, it's been an eventful week. It has been. Oh, Big Red is here. Hi, Big Red. We love it when Big Red comes because Big Red is just awesome. And, he's all about Spencer Rattler. I think that's he's his biggest cheerleader. It's gotta be. I don't know anybody else banging the drum for Spencer. And Big Red's not even a Saints fan like that. So that's pretty cool. I love it. I love it. Speaking of which, South Carolina, I think they won their rivalry game too, didn't they? I think they did. I think they did beat those Clemson Tigers, didn't they?
Yeah.
They did.
Good evening and season's greetings to you too, Bob. Love it.
I mean, not only did they win, but that win knocked Clemson out of the playoffs. Knocked them down to 17. So it's doubly nice when you can win a rivalry game and knock somebody out. It's a lot easier to do now that there are 12 teams. Back when it was just top 4, it was harder to get them out of that top 4. It would have worked for Michigan this year because Ohio State went from 2 to 7, but it's still 12 teams. That knocked Clemson out of it. So,
No, Big Red's got a good question. I like this.
No, because we ain't got a kicker.
But how are y'all
had
still
a good
top
kicker
6?
since Nuge? I don't know. I don't know what Ryan Day was thinking. He looked as Ryan dazed and confused is what he is. I don't know what Chip Kelly was doing with the play calling. It was, I mean, Michigan's a 500 team, and they had some key components of that team were out because of injury, and we still, I don't know.
I was about to say, you can check the records. I told everybody in the group chat, I was like, oh, dang, they're out without Colston Loveland, their top tight end.
Yep.
And Will Johnson, their safety.
Yep.
Like, I was like, oh, this is for sure. We're done. We're done. This is it. I'm done. You know?
Yep. Clearly, y'all showed up to play and we didn't. So,
yeah, exactly. So there you go. I guess anything can happen. Anything can happen.
That's why we play the games, right? They're not just handled on paper.
Hello, Lisa.
I mean, there were some big games this weekend, with the rivalry stuff, as well as for a while there, Vanderbilt was giving Tennessee a run for their money. They were a little bit nervous. SC taking out Clemson was huge. Indiana put a 66-0 beatdown on Purdue, which is just, I know Purdue's not great, but that's just insane. Texas just squeaked past A&M 17-7. That was not a pretty game. Washington handled their business, so did BYU. Like most of the teams did. I'm still not sure, Michelle, how Miami lost to Syracuse.
I am.
Are we done talking about Cam then for the Heisman? It's Travis Hunter's, right? Like there's no point.
Well, I think as soon as Miami lost the first game, they stopped talking about Cam for the Heisman, which I don't know why that affected his Heisman, but
I don't either. They were still talking about Milroe from Alabama. They lost 3 games, and I'm like, just because he's Alabama,
they do that when they don't really want to consider that person anyway. So, but yeah, they stopped talking about him actually when they lost the first game. And so, they kind of put him up there, but they kept dropping him down. And so, it's Travis Hunter and Genty, and those are your only candidates for this year. So,
yeah.
Agreed.
I hate a 9-3 Alabama being in the playoffs instead of like a BYU or something. It's just.
And it's going to happen 100 times out of 100 that they're going to choose Alabama over anybody.
I mean, Army was 10-1. I mean, it's just.
A service academy would have looked really good being in there, I think. I mean, just for the fact that it is a service rival or a service academy. Is that a little bias? Yeah, probably. But I think it would have looked good.
I mean, I don't know if any of them are good enough to be in the thing, but I'm pulling for SMU. And I'm so happy about SMU because as the only program to ever suffer the death penalty from the NCAA, and they were a really good program. And I know a lot of young people don't remember that, but back in the day, they were really a big powerhouse. And after that death penalty, it's taken them a long time to get back here. And for them to be in the ACC for the first year, We remember when FSU last year, when they were 12-0 and whatever their record was, and they went on this rampant thing about SMU's going to bring down the quality of the conference, and look at SMU in the conference, winning the conference and dominating the conference. So it would be a very nice story from a journalistic point of view. It's a very nice story to see them win. If you're a person who cheers for the underdog, they're the underdog to me. And that's what I'm most excited about right now, since my Canes are not in. But I would love to see SMU win the ACC and make it into the playoffs.
So right now, they sort of did brackets, right? And the way this playoff works is the top 12 teams get in, and then the 4 teams with byes are the conference champions. So
correct.
Oregon at number 1, they're showing them as a bye right now, but they got to play Penn State this weekend. The winner of that game is who's going to get a bye. That's going to be your Big Ten champion.
Right.
For the ACC, it's Clemson and SMU.
Mm-hmm.
And Clemson's sitting at 18. I don't know that a win can move them back up to 12. So they're out. If SMU wants a bye, they need to win this week. The SEC championship is Georgia and Texas. They're sitting at 5.
Yeah.
Georgia beats Texas, they're getting the bye.
Yep.
Right? Sun Belt championship
or
game
Alabama,
is Marshall, Louisiana, but ain't nobody in there. Alabama ain't getting a bye.
I'm just joking. It was just a joke. They love Alabama. I wouldn't put it past them if they moved them all the way up to 4.
The Big 12 championship game is number 12, Arizona State against Iowa State.
And that's what's going to knock Miami out, because right now Miami's number 12. And whoever wins that game, they have to move up into that 12th spot.
Well, yeah. I don't know that
they're a conference champion.
Get a bye, but.
Well, I was just talking about in the playoffs. The champion is going to move up.
Yeah, so it just depends on which rankings you're looking at. I've got one with Arizona State at 15 and one with them at 12. So we need to get through the conference championship game. So if you're Googling the playoff schedule and you see, Oregon, Oregon, Texas, SMU, and Boise State with byes, that's just if it ended today. But they still have... That's their projection. That's who they think is going to win their conference champions. And that's one of the things that I like about the way this playoff works is Boise State's ranked number 10, but they could get a bye if they're the conference champion.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have so many Big Ten teams in this and so many teams from the same conference that, you've got Oregon, Penn State, Ohio State, and Indiana from the Big Ten. Then you've got Texas, Georgia, Tennessee from the SEC. So it's like there's enough that the number 10 team, Boise State, Mountain West, if they can win their championship, they'll get the bye. Right. Poor Notre Dame sitting at 4 as an independent, they have no chance at a bye.
I like Lisa's question. If so, SMU will be out if they lose. And it's a possibility. Because they don't want them there. So you know what I'm saying? They don't want them in it. And when they don't want someone in them, they drop them as far as they can. It would be shameful for them to drop them out of the playoffs for losing the conference championship. But I wouldn't put it past them.
I agree. And they're at 8 with an 11-1 record, and there are teams below them right now. Like I said, Alabama at 9-3.
Yep.
If losing that and going to 11-2 drops SMU out of the 12, and we still get to see Alabama, I'm gonna have to pick it somewhere. We all know it's going to happen, but so ultimately,
and we still get to handle their business.
Just win, baby.
But that is so much pressure. Isn't that so much pressure on them? They've had a wonderful season, but now they still have to go and win this game too, or they get dropped out for a team that has,
more losses.
Yeah, and it would be unfortunate. So I'm hoping that they do win.
Now, Big Red had a bold statement here. SMU could possibly knock Bama out, even with a loss. See, I don't know.
They
I don't
choose
think so.
Alabama over SMU 9 times out of 10.
And twice on
Michelle,
Sundays.
Yep.
help me understand why. So ACC, SMU's 11-1,
Mhm.
Yes.
Miami's 10-2, Clemson's 9-3. Why isn't Miami playing SMU for the championship?
Because they lost. See, the only reason Miami had an opportunity to play for the championship is because of whoever lost put us in a tie with Clemson. Clemson had a loss that made us have a tie, and we would have won the tiebreaker because we both played Louisville and we beat Louisville and they didn't. So that's how Miami was to get in. Miami losing that second game because both of their games are conference losses. Knocked them out. Right.
You're right. I'm seeing their overall record.
Yeah,
Not their
both of those
conference
losses were
record.
conference losses.
Okay.
So they're
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. I'm like, I'm missing something somewhere because I know we've had years, Sonia, where Ohio State plays Michigan and then they play each other again the next week for the conference championship, right? Because they each end up with one loss, and it didn't matter what they did head to head. You're right; it's just the conference record that sends them to the conference championships.
Mhm.
I always forget.
Exactly. That's right. So it's that conference record that'll get you every single time.
Yeah.
It essentially fell the way I thought it, or right now it's falling the way I thought it would. Penn State, interesting to see them up that high this late, but I mean, just that last, Ohio State's last loss puts them there, but still, it's just weird to see them that high.
Because I wondered if the Ohio State loss would affect them, right? Because that's their only loss is to Ohio State, who's now got 2 losses, and it's like, we talk about teams that didn't play anybody or teams that played somebody. Oh, if you lose to the number 2 team, that's not as bad a loss. But then if the number 2 team drops down to like 7, 8, 9, 10, your win or your loss should be affected. And so I know they moved up a spot because Ohio State plummeted, but I was surprised that Notre Dame didn't leapfrog them, frankly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think many people thought that, especially since Notre Dame has been playing so well, and people just don't believe in Penn State. We've seen them do this before, and so even though they're playing well and they lost to Ohio State, but they lost to Ohio State 5 games ago, and so and since that time, and it wasn't a blowout or anything. It was a pretty close game. But they've looked so good in the last 4 games since they lost to Ohio State.
Big Red's coming with some good questions today. I love it. So why is Indiana so high if they're in the Big Ten championship, or OSU for that matter? So I think the Big Ten this year is just doing the top 2 teams play for the conference championship. So they eliminated the 2 conferences that they had, originally Legends and Leaders or whatever, and then it switched to Big Ten East and then West. So now they just merged it, put it all together, and just the top 2 teams in the Big Ten play each other for the teams with the top 2 records play each other for the Big Ten Conference Championship. And so
so in the Big Ten, Oregon's 9-0 in conference. Penn State and Indiana are both 8-1, but Penn State won the tiebreaker, and I have to go look and see what it is because they both lost to Ohio State. So I'm not sure where the tiebreaker then, what the record is against the teams they played that were the same or whatever it is. I have to go dig into that. But
I mean, Indiana's only lost 1 game all season, and we can sit here and talk about how the SEC is the best conference and so forth and so on. But look at the Big Ten. They have Indiana, they got Penn State, they got Oregon. I mean, they look pretty good to me.
We're having a good year.
They're having a good year. And so you have to, these rankings and things have to go based on that current year, except unless you're SEC and they just based on reputation. But on the other conferences, it goes by that year that they're performing. And this year, the Big Ten is performing well. And so Indiana deserves to still be in the picture. They only have that 1 loss, and they lost to a team they lost to Ohio State. Now the Michigan loss made Ohio State bring Ohio State down, but they're still a top ranked team.
Mm-hmm. See, there's Big Red again. The committee's parameters keep changing every year. You really can't tell what they're looking at. That's true. They're I don't know if their requirements change per se. I think the eye test kind of.
Well, they're human, so
Yeah, that's true too.
It's not a machine anymore. It's a bunch of people, and it's a bunch of people picking. And now everybody has an opinion. Some people are watching games, and some are not. And then the others bring in their conference biases inside. So it's not a perfect system, and it never will be, because it's not exact to the point, and you can't be exact to the point because you can't let everybody play. But you're hoping that adding 12 teams and then 16, that you'll get the best that you can and then let them play.
Mm-hmm. I think they can be a little looser in their criteria when there's 12, as opposed to when there were only 4 teams. I think they were all looking at kind of similar things. And now that there's 12, they can look at whatever they want. There really are not guidelines. It's like MVP voting or anything else. Everybody just has their own things that they think about when they make a decision.
And I think they have guidelines that it's just there are more guidelines than just ABC, It's a lot of things that you have to look at. You got to look at strength of schedule. You got to look at who lost what, who lost when, who won when, who beat what, similar opponents and so forth and so on. So it's not as easy as, we sit here and we just come up with who we think should win. All the analytics they got to look into. And again, there are some people who just have biases. They have been saying them all over social media about this and that, but they have their requirements. It's just you still have that human element of if I can say Miami should be in over Alabama, even though they lost 2 games and Alabama lost 3. But the bottom line is Miami lost 2 of their last 3 games. So, they've lost 2 of their last 3, and they lost them to people who they shouldn't have lost to. Alabama, on the other side, Alabama has 3 losses, but Alabama has wins over top 25 teams, and Miami didn't have enough of them on their schedule. So if you look at it that way, there's so many different ways you can look at things. If I'm just picking those 2 teams, then those are things you can point out. Mm-hmm. Although, and although I think South Carolina probably should have been in before Alabama, but that's just that's just me.
Big Red agrees. And this is another shameless plug for Michelle to be on the committees for everything. Who do we need to talk to? But she needs to be on the committees and vote. So just so you know.
I'm trying to get on that one and the women's basketball. So go ahead.
Yeah. We need to send this out to somebody so that you can be on there. What are you looking at, Kate?
I found an article that explains what the tiebreakers were.
Yeah.
And it's wrong.
I refer back to Lisa's comment.
Tiebreakers for what?
For the Big Ten championship. How?
Oh, yeah, the Big Ten.
It ended up being Penn State instead of Indiana.
Yeah, you can probably find them also on the Big Ten website. They're usually.
That's where I'm at. And it says Penn State's 8-1. So they're both 10-1. They're both 8-1 in conference. Mm-hmm. And then it says Penn State's only loss was to Ohio State, who's 7-2. And then Indiana's only loss was to Michigan State, but they were only 5-4. Indiana didn't lose to Michigan State. They lost to Ohio State.
I was about to say, what? No.
Is that an article, or is that something on
I'm like, why did Penn State get in over? Because it says they used the head-to-head matchup, then common conference opponents, then cumulative conference winning percentage among respective opponents. I think they got some of this stuff wrong, but I think ultimately what decided it was Penn State and Indiana both played the same Big Ten schools. It was their non-conference games that factored in, and Penn State played better non-conference teams with better records than Indiana did.
And usually the conferences have a set of guidelines that they follow to break these ties. And you go through the first one and you go down the line until you
10.
Correct.
It's insane.
But then you have to add up points. If you keep going down, the further you have to go down, then you have to, yeah. And that's how they break it. But they usually will send it out as you get close to the season, just in case you're getting close.
Well, last weekend they were like, we need one of y'all to lose, and neither of them lost. So it's like, all right, now we got to figure it out. I'm sorry about the lights flickering. I'm a little concerned.
Nothing sexy about the ACC. I hear you.
That's true.
We bringing sexy back next year. We're bringing sexy back.
They don't know how to act. Tell them, Michelle. They don't know how to act, do they?
I don't know why I'm saying we. I guess because Miami's in the ACC. So
yes, because Miami's in the ACC.
Yeah, but I don't like any of the other teams. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Big Red. What did he say? We need Catholics versus convicts 2.0. Don't we need 3.0? Because didn't they play a couple years ago?
This is why I don't like Notre Dame. Don't start. If it wasn't for the head coach, I would not even look at Notre Dame.
Agreed. Yeah.
But every time I go try to turn the TV, I just get stuck right there. So anyway.
Well, we got 3 championship games this weekend that will determine the buys. Yeah, I like that. I like that these games matter. It's not just your pride of winning your conference. There's actually some meat behind it. Like there's some.
Hi, Camden.
Is that Camden's new handle? I didn't know that's Camden's handle.
Yeah, she's got a podcast. First kick, come kick it with her. So yeah.
I was talking to her last night on our podcast. It was like, anyway.
Yeah. But yes, conference championships now mean something more-ish than they did. But you're playing for a bye, and everybody needs that bye. So I think that's a very good thing.
Yeah, because with 12 teams, you're going to have a round of 8, right? 4 games.
Yep.
So 8 teams, and then those 4 winners play the folks who got a bye. Then you got your semis, and you got your finals. So there's a lot more football left because before there were just 2.
Yep.
So what
happens? You had to win your semi, and then you got to your final. Now you got to get through 4.
What happens, Kate, if Ohio State wins the national championship? You guys still want Day to go? He seems like a pretty good coach, so he just can't finish.
So you need to prioritize, right? You need to decide what is really important to you. And as nice as the national championship is for me, I'd rather beat Michigan. Now, I know I am in the minority. I know.
I don't think so.
I feel like if Ryan Day wants to come back next year, he has to win a national championship. That pressure is on him, that he's at least got to get a deep playoff run, because that's what people keep arguing now, is he's the winningest coach in the Big Ten right now, and the fact that he's lost 4 games in his career at Ohio State, and all 4 have been to Michigan, so now we're at 5 games, right? 4 Michigan games in Oregon. Like, you can't find coaches that win all that. I'm like, I know, but can I just find a coach who can beat Michigan? I can't even beat a 6-5 Michigan team.
Well, you know that the champion from last year couldn't beat Ohio State, but he won that national championship, did he?
Yes.
So nobody even cares that he didn't beat Ohio State because he won the national championship.
Listen to Lisa. If Tennessee beats Ohio State, Day will be fired that night. If that's how the bracket shakes out, because I still don't know. I mean, that's who it looks like we'd be playing in the first round. Who's got the SEC championship? Oh, that's Texas and Georgia, right?
Texas and Georgia, yeah.
Oh,
Texas
so yeah, we are probably
part 2. Yeah, see what I did?
Unless there's a big shakeup in the rankings, you're right. We'd play Tennessee, and I like my chances against Tennessee, but I liked my chances against Michigan. So who knows what I know?
Yeah.
Well, that's different. That's a rivalry game, and you know how those
games are very different.
That's very different. Ohio State looks like a different team when they're not playing Michigan.
Apparently so. Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. I don't know, Lisa, that, she's saying Tennessee is ideal. Notre Dame, versus Ohio State, they aren't moving. Depending on what happens, they could move. You know what I mean? If Texas loses to Georgia, there'll be a shuffle up in those top sections. I don't know if SMU loses, they're beneath us. So I don't know that a Texas loss would drop them below and move us up. We might stay right at Ohio State and Tennessee at 6 and 7, while they're scrambling up at the top and scrambling right below. Do you know what I mean? Like we might be in that sweet spot where the people who are at
Texas
risk
loses to Georgia, they're probably going to swap spots.
Right. Which still leaves 6 and 7 alone, right? 2 and 5 will just switch.
Yep. I think
and
they'll
6 and
just
7
switch.
are left alone. Same with Oregon and Penn State.
Well, I'm pulling for all the upsets.
Somehow beats Oregon. I'm with you. They swap spots.
Swap.
Rivalry week.
SS.
Swapping spots. Man.
At least we're not swapping spit.
Uh-oh. That's what my grandmother said. She never believed in that swapping spit.
A wise woman.
She shook my granddaddy's hand at the altar. On the wedding day. When they say you may kiss the bride, she said she shook his hand and turned away.
I love it.
I kind of like that.
I kind of did too. I like that.
I mean, at the end of the day, are any of these teams beating Oregon? Do you think any of these teams have a realistic chance of beating Oregon? If Oregon stays focused and plays duck football and doesn't start looking past people, they've been very good at that all year of staying in the moment.
Focused, yeah.
If they play their game, I don't see enough firepower from anybody. I don't even know that Notre Dame might give them a game, but I personally, it's Oregon's championship to lose from where I'm sitting.
I think the teams to beat them are going to be the teams that we haven't watched that most.
Yep.
So it has to be either Boise State or SMU.
I really want to see, can we squash that idea that SEC teams can't play up north in the winter? I got to see it. I got to see some Alabama boys playing in the snow. That's just me, though.
I like that, Lisa. I like it. Because remember, Texas was my team in the beginning, and then they started losing, and I thought they were the best team all year, and they lost, and I'm like, okay, I guess it's Oregon, but I was high on Texas. I was very high on Texas.
They've done well to finish the season 11-1 with the quarterback issues they've had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've got a very good overall team that you can switch quarterbacks in like that between Ewers and Manning and keep things just moving along.
They have a defense, Lisa.
Yes, they do.
Wins championships.
They do. They really
She
do.
just wanted to pick someone that neither of the three of us love so that she didn't hurt our feelings.
Lisa, we should have just asked you to come on the show tonight. Miami in the snow would be fun to watch. They really would.
No, we watched the Dolphins. We saw the fish in the snow, and that didn't work too good.
Are they playing all these games at Lucas Oil Stadium?
What, all of them?
Any of them? Some of them? I know the Big Ten championship game is there. Do we have sites for these games?
Jera is not hosting any of these games. What?
No, Jerry's got to be hosting some, right? Hang on. Let's see.
Nothing, Jera.
They'll be played at the Fiesta Bowl, Rose Bowl, Peach Bowl, and Sugar Bowl.
Okay, good.
So not Jerry's.
There aren't any snow games.
Oh, because Jerry doesn't have a bowl. Or the Cotton Bowl. He does the Cotton Bowl, right? Yeah.
Then the 4 quarterfinal winners will meet in the semis at either the Orange Bowl or the Cotton Bowl.
Okay, there you go.
And then the championship would be at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. So I don't think we'll see snow for any of these games.
No. We'll see when we can get Lisa back on. Maybe we'll get her on in a couple weeks. Maybe we'll talk some Heisman or something. We'll see.
We need to talk Heisman. I like that they're doing them at the site of the bowls and at replacing bowl games. But at the same time, because there are going to be so many games now, those bowls would have been other teams would have
Yeah.
been invited, right? Because the 4 that are doing the playoffs are in their own. So I kind of feel bad for those fringe teams who don't get to go to a bowl game, but there are a million bowl games out there with
I've
some of the
always felt
craziest names.
yeah. I've always felt the
Exactly.
bowl should have been part of the playoffs. Like, there's no point in playing a bowl now that we have this playoff season because I don't want to see it. Frankly, I don't
Yeah.
want to see 6
I'm
for
a-
6 play for any kind of Fritos and stuff like
The
that.
Frito-Lay,
Let's just-
poinsettia, Chick-fil-A,
Pepsi
pom-pom,
Bowl.
squishy gnome bowl. I don't know.
No, you guys are naming big bowls, Chick-fil-A and Pepsi. No, go down. Find something else.
okay.
That we,
I'm going to find the
Pop-Tart
list of
licorice,
all the
you know,
bowls.
like licorice bowl or something like that.
The Pop-Tart Bowl.
The Halloween candy
Pop-Tart.
corn bowl or something. You know.
Ew. Our
You know,
friend
like a
Liz
baked
would be
potato
there.
bowl,
The baked potato bowl. Yep.
the Idaho
Oh!
potato bowl.
Guess where our turf's going to be next week?
Celebration. Frisco Bowl.
The Celebration Bowl. That's right. I'm going to be at the Celebration Bowl next week. I'm so excited. I'm going to be on Radio Row. Going to be South
Very
Carolina
nice.
State Bulldogs. Not sure who they're going to be playing, but I'll bring some great content.
They have not announced their matchup yet.
The Hurricane Bowl.
Salute to Veterans Bowl is Southern Alabama and Western Michigan. The Frisco Bowl in Frisco, Texas is Memphis and West Virginia. Boca Raton Bowl, the LA Bowl, New Orleans Bowl, Cure Bowl. These are Gasparilla Bowl. That's in Tampa at Raymond James. I don't know what the Gasparilla Bowl is. It's Myrtle Beach. Famous Idaho Potato Bowl. That's in Idaho. We'll have snow for that.
Yeah.
I want to get invited to the Hawaii Bowl in Honolulu. Game Above Sports. 68 Ventures Bowl. I don't even know what that is. And I'm not Googling it because that's the whole reason why you name a bowl. Pop-Tarts Bowl. There is a Pop-Tarts Bowl.
Yeah, there is a
At
Pop-Tart Bowl. I
Camping
told
World
you.
Stadium in Orlando. Music City Bowl, Sun Bowl, Citrus Bowl. We used to have names like that. Gator
Blue
Bowl.
Bonnet Bowl.
Gator Bowl, Duke's Mayo Bowl. Lord. No, they're playing one, an international one. The Bahamas Bowl on January 4th will be played in Nassau in the Bahamas. They have not announced the teams yet. That sounds interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there used to be like a Poinsettia Bowl, and there were a whole bunch more, but I think because so many of the big name teams are going to be in the playoff, and then they'll actually play in multiple bowls. If you keep winning,
Yeah.
you keep
That's
winning.
the
So
Bismarck Bowl. Lisa, stop it. The belly butt. Y'all stop. You guys are making
There
me
we
laugh.
go. That's the kind of bowls I'm talking about. Duke Mayo is actually a bowl, though. That's in
Yeah, that's a for real bowl.
that's a real one.
and they eat mayo. Oh my God, it's sickening. They eat mayo
They
out
eat
the
the mayo.
thing after the game. Oh God, it makes my stomach hurt.
Ew, that's gross. But like I said,
We
next
should
week
invite
we're
Will
gonna-
Levis because apparently he likes mayo.
Yes, he likes mayo. The Will Levis Bowl. But yes, next week, guys, I'm gonna go live. Gonna be at the Celebration Bowl at Mercedes-Benz Stadium here in Atlanta. So I'm so excited. Hopefully I'll get to talk to some players. Hopefully I'll get to talk to an AD or two. Yeah, gonna go live. So be ready for me, okay? Gonna be a good little afternoon. We're gonna have a lot of fun. And then I'll go to the game and we're just gonna have fun. So follow me along. All right, you guys. Well, we're about to wrap it up here. I got to go get my kid. And it's just the end of our time. But we will be back next week talking some more about our conference championships. Then we'll have a better idea of who's going where and if it's going to be Tennessee, Ohio State. So, yeah, y'all are killing me in the chat. Thank you, everybody, for showing up in the chat. We appreciate it. Come back next week. Same bat time, same bat place. We'll see you later. Have a great weekend. Bye. Thank you, Bob.